everyone, and welcome back to the show. We're here today with episode 1810 of the Cabral Concept, a controversial show, no doubt, but I made a commitment many years ago that I would simply bring you what I have known to be the truth for the past 25 years. So when I see topics come along that I know are not always the most popular and they don't always maybe push me towards the algorithms that social media wants, nonetheless, I still feel that I need to bring you these particular items. And I thought long and hard about giving you the specific protocols that I specifically used myself and with my family in this particular pandemic. And the reason is the FDA already made me take down my virus-specific page. We had to be careful with what we stated in terms of the name of the particular virus. And I've already had to deal with all of the different, all but closing of my accounts on social media. But nonetheless, the podcast continues to push forward. And what I wanted to do and what I've been hopefully sharing with you over the past few months is where we're at currently right now, where we're moving towards. But the truth is this, is that for those in the field of orthomolecular medicine, bioregulatory medicine, meaning those integrative health practitioners, those natural practitioners who have already studied the research and understood this is what works against viruses, have been giving these recommendations before any of this already started. So you can go way back to my previous podcast before there ever was such thing as this pandemic, and you'll see exactly how we've worked with viruses in the past. And the nice thing is, this is no different. So I'm going to share with you exactly what I use myself. I don't want to construe any of this on this podcast as medical advice, okay? I can't give you medical advice. I can't cure. I can't diagnose. Those are the three things that we need to make sure we understand that is relegated for the field of conventional medicine. The power of a medical doctor, that is the only thing in the world that allows you to say, you diagnose, we treat, and we cure disease, right? And by the way, we know that none of that happens. The diagnosis is no doubt there. The issue with the diagnosis is you're giving someone a name for a collection of symptoms, but we'll save that for a different show. Now, the treating and curing never actually happens except in acute-based circumstances, which is exactly what we're going to talk about on today's show. There's no curing of a chronic-based disease in conventional medicine. Giving someone a statin drug, blood pressure drug, immune bioregulatory drug does not actually get rid of their autoimmune issue, their high cholesterol issues, their high blood pressure issues. It masks it for sure, but it does not take care of that underlying root cause. But again, that's a topic for a different show, and I've talked about that in the past. What I want to give you today, believe it or not now, is being used in hospitals. So now for the very first time, I can share with you and say, listen, this isn't me that's recommending it. This is actual medical doctors in hospitals, because as a board-certified doctor of naturopathy, I have to make sure that I know that I'm not giving you medical-based advice. So I'm going to share with you the natural protocols that I'm using and that my family is using. And I'll actually show you the text messages that I send to family and friends if you're watching this on video. And again, if you'd like to watch this on video, you can simply go to YouTube, and it's just my name, Stephen Cabral, Stephen with a PH, or you're welcome to go to stephencabral.com/podcasts for all of the podcast shows in today's episode 1810. So what I'm going to do is go through with you the specific protocol I've been using personally. Doesn't mean that you should use it, but it's a natural protocol I've been using myself specifically. Remember, I'm someone coming from a background of mononucleosis when I was a teenager, Epstein-Barr virus, all sorts of issues with viral-based load in my body. Here's what I use, okay? So this is specifically for you, and then I'm going to go through a groundbreaking medical protocol that I personally would recommend to family and friends if they were at high risk or in the hospital from this particular virus, right? And I'm going to name the particular virus in the show because this is now medical-based advice. So for COVID-19, this is the actual hospital treatment protocols that I am recommending, again, for family and friends, that if you were ever in this position, you would talk with your physicians about this, because the research on it is fantastic. And I've been talking about it now for months, so I want to pull it all together for you. So if you've heard about the MATH protocol or you've heard about the eye mask protocol, then great. We're going to go in depth on why it works today. Okay. First things first, this is exactly from a natural health perspective, without any pharmaceuticals, what I'm recommending for myself and family and friends. Again, it doesn't constitute medical-based advice. So if I were to ever get sick, I'd be using zinc at 75 milligrams per day. One more caveat I have to give you is I'm not allowed anymore to link nutritional supplements from any of my podcast pages. I know it's insane, but it's the world that we live in. Somehow we could link medical drugs, but we can't link nutritional supplements because then that would somehow construe a treatment-based protocol. But again, we're not treating anything. We're helping to boost our own immune system. We let our bodies take care of the actual issue. Okay, but I digress. So zinc, 75 milligrams. Zinc gluconate, zinc citrate. There are great forms of zinc to use. This is daily, by the way, for 2 to 3 weeks. Vitamin C, 1 gram, 5 times a day. So I'll give you exactly how I do it. Zinc, I would take, this is a higher dosage. I typically take 50 milligrams a day, but I would take between 35 and 50 milligrams per day. And I take that at dinner. Okay. For vitamin C, I would take 1 gram 5 times a day. That's 5 grams total for the day. You could certainly take that at a higher dosage should you choose to. You split it up towards the day, between the day, because it is water soluble and it's in and out of your system fairly quickly. Vitamin D, I take 4,000 to 5,000 IUs every single day. If I was dealing with a particular virus, I personally would take 5,000 to 10,000 units per day. And this is for 2 to 3 weeks. Quercetin, I take His Pro on a near daily basis. That's giving me 400 to 800 milligrams of quercetin, and I would take 500 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day if I had this particular virus. NAC, which by the way, I did in January, right? It just wasn't labeled the same virus in January. I lost my taste, lost the smell, had a fever, was really sick for 3 to 4 days, and I recovered. I still didn't have the taste back for 2 weeks or so, but again, I'm feeling good. So the next part is NAC, 600 milligrams twice a day. Licorice root, 300 milligrams 2 to 3 times per day. And that's at about 100 milligrams or so. You can take a little bit more for sure, to 200 milligrams. So here's the thing though. This is, what do I take on a daily basis? I've already given this before, but I take Daily Foundational Protocol Level 2. You can find that at Equal Life. And I take the Immunity Protocol, which is vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. I take that every single day. That's it, plain and simple. You don't need to be using quercetin, most people on a daily basis, NAC on a daily basis, licorice root on a daily basis. There's just not a need. The body doesn't need those herbs. And again, N-acetylcysteine being a part of those sulfur-based amino acids on a daily basis at a higher dose. You just don't. So I'm not a high-dosed nutritional supplement type of person. I do in acute-based circumstances, that's for sure, but that's not lasting, in this case, for more than really 2 to 3 weeks. So again, this is what I'm sending, and I'm just going to cover the person's name, and you can see right here, if you're watching a video, this is exactly what I send to people. Okay. So again, not a treatment protocol, but this is what we do in natural health. And again, there are volumes of research written on this. So I didn't make it up. I put together this protocol myself. So yes, this is my protocol, but it's based on like undeniable evidence. And if you wanted to add in other things as well, you could certainly do that. I just haven't found a need for it. So my goal in life is to always use the 80-20 rule. So I essentially say, the 20% of things that I can do that will get 80% of the results, right? So you can always add more on top of it. Some people might add elderberries, some people might add other things, but here's the thing, 80-20 rule. If it was the flu, I would definitely use elderberry. There's no doubt about it. But that's going to get me the results that I need. Now, let me give you now the medical protocol, and you'll see a lot of similarities with this, what they are using and recommending in hospitals. And I always want to give credit where credit's due, because people stick their neck out to do these things because this is going against the grain a little bit here. But this was, it says, developed and updated by Dr. Paul Marek. And they are a professor of medicine, chief of pulmonary and critical care medicine at Eastern Virginia Medical School. And this is really updated, December 27th, 2020. And then again, they say new updates will be available at flccc.net. Well, there you go, flccc.net. Now, here it is. We're getting right into it because I know that your time is valuable. And again, you can even print this out. Let me see if I can give you the number of pages. How many pages is this? 49 pages. Okay. But that's why I do the research for you. You don't need to read all 49 pages if you choose not to. However, if you have a family member at risk or in critical care, you'll want to read this document, print it out, give it to their physicians as well. All right. So the math hospital treatment protocol for COVID-19. That's what it's called. That's not me. That's not me as a board certified doctor of naturopathy giving medical advice. I have to keep repeating that. All right. The math protocol, though, is this. The M stands for intravenous methylprednisolone. That's basically like prednisone. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. The A is high-dose intravenous ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, but it's given intravenously. The T is for thiamine, which is vitamin B1. Okay, so let me step back a little bit. Prednisone, we talked about that. Prednisolone, what is that? Powerful anti-inflammatory drug. Okay, it's a drug. Vitamin C, what is that? Well, we know that it helps boost the immune system. There's no doubt about it. Vitamin C helps boost the immune system. What about thiamine? That's a strange one, right? Why would we add in vitamin B1? Well, vitamin B1, if you look into your orthomolecular text, actually helps with oxygen utilization. So that makes sense. Now, I'm going to give you more recommendations later in the show, because if you're using the daily foundational protocol level 2, which I highly recommend, you're getting all the B vitamins in that, because vitamin B1 is great, but it's not as great if it doesn't work with its synergists. So we'll talk about that in a moment. All right. The H stands for heparin, and that is a blood thinner to help with, well, thinning the blood clots, etc. So basically complications if you're in the hospital. Now, what does the plus stand for? I love this because it's super up to date. Remember, just a few weeks ago, I was trying to break the news on this, that ivermectin, which is another drug, has been shown to prophylactically prevent people from getting this virus, or if they do, they're basically asymptomatic. They don't have any symptoms. Okay, what is the plus? Also, they have people on a statin drug. Do I recommend that? Not necessarily, but again, I'm not giving you medical-based advice. Then they have zinc, they have vitamin D, they have famotidine. I don't even know if that's the direct pronunciation of that. And they have melatonin. So, I mean, absolutely fantastic. But let's go just a little bit more in depth. And they have different protocols for people that are actually in the hospital. And it's a well laid out PDF. So I'm going to download it for you. Just go to stephencabral.com/1810 and you can download it yourself. So they actually give you all the different dosages so that you can print this if needed to give to your medical doctor. Because again, medical doctors, just because you're a medical doctor does not mean that you specialize in virology. You just don't. Or again, like if you go to your PCP, they're not keeping up on this necessarily. It's not their job. You have to understand, medical doctors go to school. They learn the foundations of conventional medicine. They learn about pharmacology. They learn about disease pathology. Then when people come in, they do their best to give them, based on what they knew and what they've learned and based on what their lab work says, the correct pharmaceuticals, et cetera, that match up with the disease. That's what conventional medicine was based on. They don't have the foundations of using zinc and using all these other things. I mean, that's more rare. You'd have to start to do postdoctoral work on that. Okay, let's move on a little bit here. They give you all the different benefits of when you might use, let's see, what else? Well, you might use corticosteroids and you might use ivermectin. All right. So let's move now to the actual protocols here. Okay. So they give you the specific dosages, even for something like remdesivir if needed, hydroxychloroquine if needed, and I'm moving to it right now. Okay, here we go. So they are saying I'm not going to give you the dosages for ivermectin, which is a medical drug, because again, I'm moving then more into medicine. I'll let you download the brochure, we'll call it, on that. Vitamin D, they're saying for people that are prophylactic, basically, you don't want to get the virus. What should you be doing? Or you want to basically boost your immune system so that if you do get it, that your body is able to equip with it. Well, they're saying 1 to 3,000 IUs per day. How much do I say? 35. I say 35 IUs per pound of body weight. That seems to hold up really well. That means most adults are at 4 to 5,000 IUs a day. So my dosage is a little bit higher. Okay, they're saying 1,000 milligrams twice a day for vitamin C. I say the same. I'm between 1 and 3 grams a day for daily use in vitamin C. They say quercetin, 250 milligrams a day. That's great. I mean, I don't think that you need quercetin every single day, unless you're someone like me and you're more prone to mast cell activation syndrome and mastocytosis. And then quercetin is a game changer. But for this virus, well, it's fantastic. It works as a zinc ionophore that I've talked about before on previous podcasts. I'll link up. I've got a whole lot of previous podcasts on this virus, so we'll link those up today as well at 1810. How much zinc do they say to use per day prophylactically? 50 milligrams. Completely agree, right? Completely agree, because we're probably looking at the same research. Melatonin, they recommend 6 milligrams before bed. I'm a huge proponent of melatonin as well, but I don't like to go to 6 milligrams prophylactically. I like to use between 1 and 3 milligrams per night for those people that don't sleep as soundly as they should. Okay, so we're on the same page there. Then what about those people that now get the particular virus and they need a little bit more help? Well, they're saying this. Well, they're talking about ivermectin, which again, I can stand behind for those people at risk. Me getting it in January, again, I'm a healthy individual, 99.96 recovery rate. And that takes into account all the people with a typical age of 78 to 81 years old. And that takes into account 50% of people being in nursing homes. Like, it still takes all that into account. So your relative risk for mortality is very, very low. But again, we want to be prepared. That's really what it's about. And we also, it's not always for us. I read the information not for me, but I want to be able to help other people. And I know that you probably do the same. Okay. So they take their early intervention, they take their vitamin D up to 4,000 IUs per day. Great. They take their vitamin C up to 2,000 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day. So now they're at 4 to 6 grams. Agreed. If possible, though, 1,000 milligrams 5 times a day would be even better. And here's why. You can't even absorb 2,000 milligrams at a time. Quercetin, they're at their 250 milligrams twice a day. I like it. That's at 500 milligrams a day. I'm at 400 to 800 a day. Their zinc, they're at 100 milligrams a day. That's high. That's really high. We want to make sure that we're not doing that for too long. I put it at 75 milligrams a day. I'm not against 100, but I'd be using something like the balanced zinc so that you get some copper into your system, because zinc's going to deplete your copper at that high a level. But again, conventional medicine doesn't really think like that. That's okay. They're taking their melatonin at 10 milligrams before bedtime. Honestly, for 2 to 3 weeks, I don't have an issue with that. Don't have an issue. And they're talking about aspirin. Instead of using something like heparin or a blood thinner, they're using aspirin as a blood thinner. That's for conventional medicine. I don't go that route. Okay, so there you go. That's their protocol. But now they also have what's called an eye mask plus. Okay, so this is called prophylactics and early outpatient treatment for the protocol for COVID-19. All right, so here we go. They are adding in, besides everything I just spoke about, they're adding in a B complex. Completely agree. Our B complex is already built into my daily foundation protocol level 2, which is the daily nutritional support shake. So we're on the same page. Okay, what else are they adding in? They are adding in omega-3s at 4 grams daily. Completely agree, although I don't agree with the higher dosage unless needed in the short term. So we provide about 2 to 3 grams of omega-3s per day in that daily foundation protocol level 2. That's for daily use. That's not just for this virus. It's for daily use, okay? So that I completely agree. And you want to be higher on EPA. And actually, they're saying the same, which is, again, this is phenomenal research on conventional medicine's part. And that's not being condescending. It's just, it's so rare and so refreshing that I'm like blown away. I really am. I'm blown away that they're talking about natural health, because natural health works. We know that it works. I mean, I've been using it for 25 years. Again, like, I know this work. I've worked with, or I know it works. I've worked with and overseen over 250,000 people. So again, whether it's ever published in research or not, we know that it works. They're talking about their zinc again. Let's see. They're not big on hydroxychloroquine. I get it. I understand it's controversial. It's not even for really me to speak on, but I know a lot of doctors who have used it along with an antibiotic. And they're saying, well, maybe doxycycline in here. The problem with doxycycline is that it's a very powerful antibiotic, and it can actually hurt the mitochondria in the long run. So again, life-saving, totally different story. I get it. Like, you're not worried about your mitochondria if your life's at risk. So I get it. I just know that from all the people that I've worked with Lyme disease, oftentimes they don't have Lyme anymore. That's usually the case after 2 months of doxycycline. But what they're left with is essentially myalgic encephalomyelitis from taking doxycycline for that long as well. But again, that's a topic for another show. So we're on the same page. I really like the outline of this, and I'm more or less just blown away by the recommendations that they've given. So I'm going to give you all of this today at stephencabral.com/1810, and it will also provide all of the dosages for pharmaceutical-based medication should you ever need to bring this. And again, I hope that never happens, but should you ever need to bring this to a hospital or to a doctor, hopefully, again, if an at-risk person, say a parent of yours or grandparents of yours, they have cardiovascular issues, they have type 2 diabetes, they're obese, they have high blood pressure, take this to their PCP. Then hopefully they'll start taking those things right away and they'll never have to go to the hospital. And then in terms of the natural health, just get started right away. I mean, honestly, I'm not giving medical advice, but the daily foundational protocol level 2 and the immunity protocol, you really can't go wrong. Like it's easy to do. You just take them at the specified time of the day. You just go on with your life and you boost your immune system. It's not saying you won't get this virus, but what it's saying is if you were to get the virus, hopefully your immune system will be strong enough to fend it off. So that's what it's all about. Again, I want to let you know I'll always speak my truth on this podcast, no matter how much social media might or how little social media might show these posts to people. You can always find my podcast every single day at stephencabral.com/podcast and on YouTube and on iTunes and Spotify and all the other media-based players. And for today's show notes and to download this specific document on the math protocol and the iMask Plus protocol, you can go to stephencabral.com/1810. Feel free to share this with friends, family, anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone.